Welcome to this session. Today we are discussing a story. Sudha Murthy, Grandma's Bag of Stories is the book that we are looking at. We shall talk about 5 spoons. Sudha Murthy's Grandma's Bag of Stories is a book of story inside story. What do we mean by that? A few children are there who on a summer vacation go to their relative's place, and then whatever happens there is what comes here as a story in this book. Now, 5 spoons of salt is the name of the story that we are going to talk about today. One morning, Ajji and Ajja were talking to each other. And Ajji told, today is Sunday. Sunday is the way they pronounce in Karnataka Kannada. Chanda in Malayalam, Sandai in Tamil, Shandi in English. What is it? It's a village market which happens once in a week, where the weekly necessities of the villagers are being sold so that the villagers do not go to town. So Shandi or Sandai or Chanda, why don't you take the children and show them and buy some vegetables? Ajji told Ajja. Ajja would have normally said yes. But how will I manage the children? That too at a Shandi. How will I manage the children? Remember what happened at the Jatre? Jatre is a fair. Remember what happened at Jatre? At least they had a temporary police station in the Jatre. If children were missing, they could have identified. But in Chanda, Shandi, Sandai, Shande, we couldn't do that. Ajji agreed. That is a problem. Then she thought and got an idea. Why don't we ask Vishnu if he can spare Damu? Who is Vishnu? Vishnu Kaka is our neighbor. And then Damu is the right hand man of Vishnu. Damu can accompany and help children are alright. So Damu can go with Ajji and then he will also ensure children are okay. So Damu was Vishnu Kaka's right hand man. Everyone called him Mr. Dependable. Everybody called Damu as dependable. Why? Because Damu was reliable. Why he was reliable? Because whatever is told to him, he will do. He will remember. He will act. He will deliver. He will do the things. No need to remind him. No need to doubt that he will not do it. So that is Mr. Dependable. So Damu drove the car. Damu cooked. Damu looked after the fields. Damu kept the accounts. Damu ensured Vishnu Kaka was well taken care of. Why this is necessary? Because Vishnu Kaka's son was living in a faraway place with his family. Vishnu Kaka's son was living in a faraway place, so we need somebody to take care of Vishnu Kaka. That is why Damu was helping him. So the 7 children, Damu and Ajja, now went to visit the Shandi. The 7 children, Damu and Ajja, went to visit Shandi. Damu is the right hand man of Vishnu Kaka, and the 7 children are living with Ajja now on the vacation. Damu had a plan. The Sunday is only 2 kilometers away. Why don't we walk and talk? Let Ajja go in the auto rickshaw. So Damu said, we will walk and talk. Let Ajja go in the auto rickshaw because it's only 2 kilometers away. The children were horrified. They were from the cities and towns. They are not used to walking. They said, walk for 2 kilometers? In this heat? It would be so boring, said Raghu. But Damu had made up his mind. He decided to go by walk only. So what did he say? Walk with me. I will tell you wonderful stories that you will forget everything. Walk with me. I will tell you wonderful stories. You will forget everything. The children agreed. Okay, if there are stories, then who will say no? Who does not like to listen to stories? Then Minu had a condition. Minu said, it has to be a true story, Damu Anna. It has to be a true story, Minu said. Damu was unfazed. Damu was not disturbed. Damu was not surprised. He said, I will tell you a story about my sister. Damu said, I will tell you a story about my sister. Do you know how I came to be Mr. Dependable? I saw what happened to her once because she was forgetful and decided never to let that happen to me. So Damu said, my sister Gita's story I will tell you. I know what happened to her because she was forgetful. So I decided I will never let it happen to me. So he started his story. So this is the story inside story. The main story is story of Gita, Damu's sister. But this story is inside a story by Sudha Murthy where the children had gone to Ajji and Ajja's house and are going to Shandi with the help of Mr. Damu, the right hand man of Vishnu Kaka. In the story, we should remember the morals. We should also remember who are the characters and who did what and why. Okay. So what is the story? Geeta, where are you? I need you to run down to the store and get these medicines for me. Geeta's grandfather called out. Geeta, where are you? I need you to run down to the store and get me these medicines. Where was Geeta? She was lying in the bed. She was reading a book. For a long time she pretended not to have heard what her grandfather was saying. The book was just too exciting and it was so hot outside. She really did not feel like stirring out of bed. Geeta did not want to go out of the bed and go to the medicine shop, the pharmacy, to buy the medicines for the grandfather. It was very hot and this book was interesting. So Geeta did not get up. Geeta, this time her mother's voice called out. With a sigh, the girl got out of the bed and went to see what needed to be done. The girl got out of the bed and went to see what needed to be done. Her grandfather handed her some money and said, I have really bad headache since morning. Will you get these medicines for me, please? So Geeta was asked by her grandfather to buy some medicines because he had a headache. He gave some money. Geeta took the money and set off to the store. Geeta went to the pharmacy. On the way, she passed a sweet shop. On the way to the pharmacy, there was a sweet dish shop. What a lovely gulab jamuns and laddus and jalebis. Lovely gulab jamuns, laddus and jalebis were there. It was mouth-watering. She said she will have some. She decided. Forgetting all about her errand. Errand is what you're trying to do, a small job. Forgetting all about her errand, she entered the shop and started tucking into the sweets. Geeta entered into the sweet shop. Soon a friend came by and joined her. The two girls ate and chatted for a long time. If there is rasagullas and laddus and jalebis, who will not like to eat for a long time? Who will be remembering other things? Geeta had forgotten all about her poor grandfather with his headache. Afternoon turned to evening. What happened? Afternoon turned to evening. The medicine store shut for the day. So you cannot even buy the medicine. Pharmacy is closed. When Geeta remembered why she had stopped out of her house, when Geeta remembered why she had stepped out of the house, it was already evening and medicine shop is closed. When she hurried back home, she saw her grandfather was upset. She hurried back home because it was already evening and she saw her grandfather was upset. When will you grow up, Geeta, and become responsible? He said. When will you grow up? When will you be responsible? So this is what happened. So a person was having headache. He asked his granddaughter to buy some medicines, but what she bought instead was sweets. She enjoyed the evening. From afternoon to evening, she was gossiping with her friend in the sweet shop, but forgot about the sweets. Geeta felt very bad. But did she mend her ways? No way. She remained the same forgetful person. Then one day, her mother told her to collect the clothes from the washing line outside. Geeta remembered to do that only the next day morning. By the time what happened? By then the clothes were all soaked through all over again because of the overnight rains. Geeta's mother asked her to collect the clothes from the clothes line. But Geeta forgot and by the time she went next day morning it was all soaked all over through because of the overnight rains. So this is the experience Geeta's mother had with Geeta. Now here we have a picture of a tiffin box and circles. What is it we have to remember here? Another day, Geeta was asked to take care of her sister's lunchbox. Geeta was asked to take care of sister's lunchbox. Why? Because her sister forgot to take the lunchbox. Geeta was asked to take the lunchbox to the school. On the way, she saw a circus in the town. Geeta saw a circus in the town. All morning, Geeta spent wandering around the circus tent. She was looking at the animals and the buffoons and the clowns, and she was wandering around the circus tent, watching the animals eating and training. Geeta spent her time all the morning looking at the circus. Only when she felt hungry herself did she look down at the lunchbox in her hand and realized her sister must have gone home by then. Geeta became hungry. Then she remembered she is having a lunchbox. Then she remembered this lunchbox was supposed to be delivered to the school because her sister forgot to take it. So after spending a school without her lunch, her sister had come back home by then because it was already afternoon. And Geeta forgot and did not take the lunchbox to the school. There was another instance. This time it was her father. While rushing to get ready for work, Geeta's father asked if she could quickly iron his shirt. Geeta picked up the shirt, placed it on the ironing table next to the window, and then the iron was also switched on. Just then a fruit vendor passed by with big, fat, juicy mangoes. What? Big, fat, juicy mangoes. In summer, All over India, you get beautiful mangoes. Mango is the national fruit of India. There is a mangoes basket was full of mangoes, and the fruit vendor was passing by. Of course, Gita forgot all about the hot iron sitting on the shirt. Quite natural. Of course, Gita forgot all about the hot iron sitting on the shirt and got engrossed in choosing the best mangoes to buy. Gita went to buy the best mangoes. Only when the smoke started billowing out from the shirt that got burnt as crisp as toast did she look around and see what had happened. Only when the smoke started billowing out and the shirt had burnt as crisp as toast did she look around and see what had happened. Look at the sentence construction. Her father was very upset indeed that day, so the iron work was asked by Gita to be done, and then what Gita did was buy a basket of mangoes. This is what happened. Then Gita came home from school one day and said the whole class was being taken for picnic next day. The teacher asked each student to bring one food item. Teacher asked each student to bring one food item, and the kids were going to a picnic. And then Geeta decided she will bring the best sambar her mother used to make. Geeta had chosen to bring sambar. She was very proud of her mother's tasty, tangy sambar. Tasty, tangy sambar. She was eager to share it with the friends so they could taste it. Geeta's mother agreed to make a lot of sambar in a big pot for the picnic. Then that night Geeta went to bed feeling very happy, dreaming about the exciting day ahead for picnic. Next morning, Geeta's mother woke her up early. Geeta's mother woke up early and started making sambar. She couldn't wake Geeta up because, as we know, Geeta doesn't like doing anything. She used to like sleeping and enjoying life. When the dal was boiled and vegetables were added and coconut and all the spices had been added, the pot has been set boiling on the stove. Sambar. Soon a delicious aroma wafted around from the pot and tickled Geeta's nose as she lay sleeping. The sambar was so good that the smell went into Geeta's nose who was sleeping. What is sambar? Sambar is a gravy dish used in South India along with the rice to have food. It has some vegetables, spices, and tamarind and coconut and things like that. So, because of this sambar smell, Geeta was turning here and there on her bed. And seeing this, her mother said, "Wake up now, dear. Sambar is nearly done. I am going to the temple. Please add 5 spoons of salt after 10 minutes." Geeta's mother said, "Sambar is nearly done. Just add 5 spoons of salt after some time. I am going to the temple." So, that is why this story is 5 spoons of salt. Geeta's mother buzzed off. Geeta's grandmother heard this. Geeta's grandmother heard this. So, Geeta's grandmother muttered to herself, "When will my daughter-in-law learn that Geeta is of no use? Geeta will remember nothing. Geeta will not do it. I am sure this girl will forget. And the sambar will go to school without salt. And people will taste this sambar and tease the kid because it is not tasty. So better be careful." Saying this, the grandmother went and added salt in the pot. Grandmother went and added salt in the pot. Geeta's grandfather was sitting on the veranda. He also heard Geeta's mother telling Geeta, "Add some salt." He remembered too well the day of headache and the medicine and the sweets. So he knew Geeta does not remember what is to be done. Will Geeta ever remember anything? Geeta remembering something, it is not going to happen. And so he went to the kitchen and added salt to the sambar. Geeta's sister was combing her hair ready to go off to school. She too recalled the day when the lunchbox did not come because of the picnic and she had to go hungry. She said, "Sure, Geeta would forget about the salt and will be laughed by her friends. Let me help her." She went to the kitchen and added 5 spoons of salt. So grandmother added salt, grandpa remembered the headache and the medicine and the sweets and added salt. Geeta's sister remembered the lunchbox and the picnic and she also added salt on top of Geeta because Geeta will forget and she should not get in trouble. Geeta's brother was watching all this. He was brushing his teeth and hearing the mother's words, he guessed she would again forget about the salt. So he dropped a few spoons of salt in the pot. Who was Geeta's brother? Damu. Geeta's father was carefully ironing his own shirt and he too slipped into the kitchen and added salt. Why? Because he did not want the fate of his shirt getting ironed because of the mango selection by Geeta, something similar to happen. So before Geeta could forget, he added salt. Everybody added salt. So Brother, sister, father, grandfather, grandmother, all of them added their salt. So she too went and added 5 spoons as her mother had told her. After that, what happened? Geeta woke up. Geeta today remembered she has to add the salt because it was her picnic. She went and added. By now, the mother had returned. She poured the sambar into a big container and sent to the picnic. They went and they were playing, blah, horrible water, they said when they started eating the thing. What happened? Everybody was playing. After playing, the children were playing in the picnic, and then soon they got hungry. They had nothing else to do. So they came out with the plates and spoons, and different people had brought different containers with food. So the food was brought in, and then children were trying to taste various food like chutney, vegetable puri, and all the goodies. Everyone took large helpings of sambar because Geeta said, my mother's sambar is very tasty, but they found it horrible. Everybody was astonished on seeing this type of a sambar. Geeta wondered what went wrong. Then she tasted the rice and sambar on her own plate. It was really disgusting. It was as if her mother had dredged out all the salt of the sea and added to it. So grandfather, grandmother, brother, sister, father, 5 of them put 5 spoons of salt. And then you have Geeta's own 5 spoons of salt. Geeta remembered her mother had not added the salt. Geeta knew it was not her mother who did the salt. It was not she who dredged the salt out of the sea and added to sambar. So what went wrong? She was thinking. Then she went home. When she reached home, everybody in Geeta's house was eagerly waiting to get feedback on the good sambar taste that the children would have told Geeta. But what is this? She came trudgingly back, her face sad and tear-stained. Geeta's face was sad and tear-stained. What happened? Geeta burst out at them. Did anybody else add salt to the sambar? Then all of them said, I did, said grandmother. I did, father. I did, me too, brother. And I, said the sister. So father, mother, grandmother, everybody except mother had added salt. They all looked at each other when everybody said, I did, I did. No wonder Geeta looked sad. They now understood what went wrong. Her friends would have made her feel miserable because of the salty sambar. Geeta's friends would have made her miserable. Everybody understood because of the salty sambar. Why did you do this? Only Amma told only me to add. Why all you did you did? Then her mother said, oh dear, you forget everything you are told to do so. We thought perhaps you wouldn't remember this time too. So we helped. Oh dear, you forget everything you are told to do so. We thought perhaps you would not remember this time too. We all wanted to help you. Now the mother pulled her close and told her, see, all this happened because nobody believed you. All this happened because nobody believed you. Everybody believed you could not do anything without being reminded. Everybody believed you could not do anything without being reminded. You should be reminded about something many times. You need to be reminded about something many times. Promise you will be careful and responsible girl from now on, so that people will trust you beyond your word. Promise that you will be a responsible and careful girl so that people can trust you. Geeta sniffed and nodded her head. She became much more careful in her course after that. And it took a lot of convincing. But friends did agree to come home for the another day for tasting the sambar. So the friends came for lunch one day to taste her mother's delicious cooking, especially tasty tangy sambar. And everybody agreed that was the best sambar. It was really the best sambar because her mother herself was making and nobody was adding salt. So Geeta became careful and responsible. By the time the story was over, the children who were walking 2 kilometers along with Damu, all the 7 of them were in the shanty. There were heaps of vegetables, sweets, flowers around. There were goats, cows, and buffaloes, and fish and chicken to be sold. The smell of nuts and cardamoms and other spices were there. Almost everything that you can dream of to have in your kitchen was there in the shanty. It was unlike the fair. In the Jatra or the fair, people had come to have a nice time. Here, people have come to do business, to buy, to sell, and get things done. So, buying, selling was happening busily. The fruits and vegetables were fresh, and flowers looked as if they were plucked now. Suddenly, though everybody was friendly, they found one person who was more kind to them, the fruit vendor. He saw Ajja and said, Namaste, Masterji. The fruit vendor said, Namaste, Masterji to the Ajja. People in villages respect each other more than people in towns. People in cities don't have time for each other. The fruit vendor said, you have come with your grandchildren. It is nice to see everyone like this. The fruit vendor said, you have brought your grandchildren. It is nice to see them, all of them. Then he gave one mango to each of them. Ajja offered money, but he said he will not take it. After all, you were my Masterji, my teacher. Can I not give 7 mangoes as gift to your children? They are from my own garden, not that I purchased them. The fruit vendor said, You are my Master Ji. I don't need money from you. I can give them free to your children as a gift. They are from my garden, not purchased. So what we normally find in a village shanty is that the traders don't buy and sell something. Traders bring their own things from their own homes or villages or farms or houses, their own cultivation, their own crops, their own production to sell. So this fruit vendor said, these are not purchased, these were from my own garden, and he gave the children. Children were delighted at the warmth and kindness and returned home happily. So children learnt about the shandy, children learnt about people are nice and kind, but most importantly, they learnt about the story of Gita as to how one can become desirable. Thanks for watching this story.